Welcome to another episode of Chad Sports Talk. My name's Chad. Take a dive on sports, and welcome to the monthly update of the NHL. And that's right, we're on to another month of great hockey action, or maybe not so great hockey action, depending who your teams are. It depends if they play games or not. There's been a lot of protocol issues, a lot of postponements, and it's definitely a unique aspect in terms of NHL trying to overcome the current situation right now going on in the world. And we'll kind of do a quick little synopsis of some of the teams, especially those on the rock bottom and those right now fighting for the quote-unquote playoff spots. It's way too early to really pinpoint who's going to be premier or favorite. There's still a lot more hockey left still to go. And let's go ahead and just, before I dive into all of that, let's go, if you could, smash that thumbs up for me. Give me a like, especially if you love the content I provide you. It really pleases the YouTube gods. Helps promote this channel out. You can also subscribe. I'll check my analytics. Love you guys are reviewing my work. I love you all for doing that, but not many of you subscribe. Doesn't cost you a dime. It helps me provide more entertainment value for you. And before I kind of go into this, I'll just kind of do a quick little caveat. If I sound a little bit under the weather, it's because I am. I'm still battling a cold. I caught this past weekend, and I live in the area of the country that loves to do 30-degree swings, and got caught a little short when on the downward trend and caught a little cold, and trying to battle that through before the next cold front comes into my area. So happy times. But let's just go ahead and kind of review this, and I'll go from the Atlantic Division all the way to the Pacific, bottom to top. And we'll start off with the Montreal Canadiens, and unfortunately this franchise has a lot of issues going with them, both on and off the ice. I don't want to say off the ice too much, but they did have a lot of postponed games recently. Something like 9 games in the past month. So you have that aspect coming with them. They still have Carey Price back yet. Hope him the best to get him back to playing at elite level. And it's really suffered the Canadiens' performance on the ice. There's one of the worst power play units in the league, sitting at the bottom. One of the worst penalty killers in the league, sitting close to the bottom of 28th. Goals against average is 31st. I mean, they're not not the worst, but they're really there. And they really not had any true bright spots on this franchise except for Suzuki. He's but the only bright spot this franchise has. He has a total of 21 points, and with a plus minus of negative 16. So he's definitely one of those key players of this franchise. But there's not much else to really hang your hat on when it comes with the Montreal Canadiens. And this is, almost sad to kind of see, especially with this historic franchise. Of course, being an original 6 member. But, it's definitely just a matter of time for, things are clicking for the Montreal to start their winning ways once again. Next one on the list will be Ottawa. This is another franchise that's not really doing very well. Of course, not a lot of things were really expected out of these guys. But they also haven't played a lot. They also been hit with a lot of postponements and postponements and restrictions as well due to the current health situation. They've only played 4 games so far this month, so it's kind of hard to really give a little synopsis of this franchise, how it's going to go forward. So they got a lot of games they got to play, so they're going to be tired by the end of the year. And one of the teams with the fewest games played thus far. Only them and the Islanders are the 2 teams that have not played a lot, so both of them have a lot of room to make up. But for Ottawa, not a lot of things expected from them. This is just a franchise that's really trying to look for the future, basically. They're trying to get themselves in a good spot. They're performing kind of well. They've got 11 wins so far this year. And they haven't really done a lot of really bad losing. So Drake Batherson is like their highlight player. That's what I think that this franchise is going to wrap itself around, as well as Josh Norris, who has 16 goals. So, these two players right now, I think the strong, young focal point of this franchise going forward. And, if they get some right pieces here and there, maybe get a good streak, maybe they make a run at the playoffs, but I highly doubt this one. Next up is going to be Buffalo. With this one, it's kind of weird that they traded away their star player and got better. So the fact that, they were able to get shed that horrible contract they had with Eichel and get somewhat better, kind of speaks volumes of how this franchise is kind of going. But their goaltending is what's killing them as well. And if they can't, and they keep going through goaltenders trying to find the right one, get between the pipes, and it's just not seem to be working out. And I think it's just one of these franchises is going to have to find a way to kind of go in there, because right now Skinner is their perennial all-star on this franchise. He leads the team in everything. And their power play is like middle of the road, right there, the 20th kill, 20th in play, 21st in kill. But they got one of the worst, like I said, one of the worst goals against average. So that is something they really have to strive to get better. And it's just a matter of fact, just finding the right goaltender. So we'll see what happens with them later on down the road. And next up will be Detroit. This is definitely one of these teams that is on the rise. I think they're performing better now than I think what they really were supposed to. It looks like they kind of hit a little downward slide right now in the season, which, it's kind of expected with the very young team that Detroit is right now. But, for some reason, their scoring is kind of slacked off a little bit, and it's just trying to, get back to what they were doing correctly in the beginning of the season and trying to translate into the present day. But, it's, you got Dylan Larkin right now as your prime leader with Moritz Seider right there behind him with the assist. I mean, in terms of power play, they're 29th, so definitely some work there, but they're one of a decent penalty kill unit that kills by almost 79% of the time, being 18th in the league. But once again, the defense, the goaltending is kind of their Achilles heel. So you see how Nijakovic, I'm sure I probably butchered his name, so I do apologize. I mean, he is somewhat of the bright spot right there for the goalies in Detroit with the 12 wins, almost 92% save percentage. But he does allow over 2.5 goals a game. So if you don't score a lot, you can't rely on Alex there to kind of keep the score sheet empty for the opposing teams. So you definitely kind of tighten up on the defense and probably give him about another year. I think he's going to be a good goaltender for the Red Wings, unfortunately. And next on the list is the number 2 wildcard team, right? As of right now, Boston. That's right. The Bruins are still hanging around. That happened to Tuukka Rask in the beginning of the season. Did kind of hamper him a bit. But he's back, and he is starting his rehabilitation to get back into the starting role for the Bruins. And once he gets back to top form, I think the Bruins are going to be one of these teams to watch out for. I did pick him to win the Stanley Cup, so right now, finally put some faith in this franchise. A lot of these guys have been with them for a very long time. Standouts with this franchise, like Marchand and Carlo, just to name a couple of those guys. They got one of the best special teams in the league. They're 8th in the power play, 10th in the penalty kill. Their defense is solid. They're 8th in the league in goals against. It's just one of these franchises that just know how to play. They get in their phase. Now, the next three I'm not going to really spend too much time on, really, because these are right now the three, I think, dominant teams right now in the Eastern Conference. And that's Toronto, Florida, and Tampa Bay. These guys are just going to be always in there. Tampa Bay is always in there. Tampa Bay, or Toronto, should I say, is always going to be there. Toronto's kind of fallen off a little bit. So there's definitely could be maybe some kinks in the armor right there with the Maple Leafs. But, they've also had a limited number of games as well. With all the teams north of the border, they kind of had that. So, but they've also recently allowed teams to come back after leading by multiple goals. So right now their defense is showing some kinks and allowing games that they should be winning slip away. So there's a few things that, to clean up, to get, close out games properly. But this is a very talented team, so should be no issues. But Tampa Bay is definitely one of these teams you definitely see there. They're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions for a reason. And Florida has built themselves a quality squad down there in Sunrise. And it's just, they have one of the best home records. I mean, you can't go in their den to win, and it's not easy at all. They defend their home territory very well. Nice to see, new faces, coming up and being, the focal point. Anthony Duclair having the most goals on the team, a bright spot. Jonathan Huberdeau being up there. But their special teams is right in the middle of the road. The goaltending is right in the middle of the road. So that could be things that could hamper them, later on. But right now, Florida is doing extremely well, right there behind Tampa Bay in terms of standings in the Atlantic. And with Tampa Bay, there's just too much star power there to really to get past. With Stamkos and Vasilevsky right there in between the pipes, and it's going to be hard to really knock off Tampa Bay, but I think it's going to happen. It's hard to repeat in the NHL, let alone do it 3 times. So, but that's the Atlantic Division. So, the top 3 teams get that course automatically in, and Boston right now is number 8 wild card, so they'll take on Tampa Bay in the first round if it started today. But on the other side, I think a team that really has disappointed everyone, including myself, because I had a lot of looking at what they did last year. I kind of predicted them to go a little bit deep in the playoffs as they did. But, it's just, I think they are not performing the way a lot of people expect, and that's the Islanders. Right now, they're sitting at the bottom of the Met. But things could be turning for the Islanders because it looks like they could be recently turning some things around. They built a brand new USPS arena, so put it back out there. So they got rid of that horrible configuration of arena in Brooklyn. No offense to their time spent there in the Nets arena, but it wasn't conducive for hockey, and it showed. Arena actually benefits them for their on ice performance. They've actually won 5 of the last 7 games since UBS arenas opened up. So it looks like they're starting to get turning that angle and turning the momentum for that franchise. But they've also been hit with a lot of postponements as well. Postponement. I just can't talk. And they've had 8 this past month. But Barzal right now is the focal point. Whereas Brock Nelson, so you get a nice 1-2 points. Sorokin right there between the pipes is doing actually extremely well. It's just they have to work on their power play, and that's what's killing them right now. Toward the bottom of the league in terms of performing. They only get 17.5%, so I think 23rd in generating power play goals, and that's a time frame you need to excel. But they can kill it, and they can deny you get an entry. So the defensive wise are great. It's offense need to work on, and if things are going the way they're going, it looks like they're going to be pretty dominant here coming very shortly to get them back into the hunt. And above them is the Devils. The Devils was one of these franchises no one really had a lot of faith that they will do well. It's just one of these teams that looks like they're still kind of trying to retool after jettisoning a few of their larger contracts, kind of, retool, rebuild, and move forward. So things are kind of going the right direction for them, it looks like, and it's just a matter of time, I think, before the Devils can start performing, get them going. They're not been hit as bad with postponed games, so you do have that going with them. So Jesper Bratt right now is their focal point of this very young team. But they got to work on their power plays as well. They're 30th in the league, barely hitting 15%. Middle of the road penalty kill. They're a little bit, a higher end of that, but by the 81%, a little over 81% penalty kill. But they can't keep people out of their nets, and it's just one of these things that I can see them doing better than what they did last year, where they only finished with 19 wins. Right now they're at 14, so they're definitely on the pace. They could get up to that 2018 mark of. Now, if you know about the 31 wins that they had there, I can see them probably surpassing that. So as long as they get on the upward trend, you definitely can see things kind of happen in the right direction. And next one's Philadelphia. With the Flyers, I really thought they could probably, sneak in and be, one of these teams that can really help out, but they have been losing a lot lately. And it's just, they're just not doing what they need to do. They're just losing close games every single night, seems like. Garreau is trying to do his best. 31 points for him. Cam Atkinson has 15 goals. They're trying to do what they need to do. But their special teams is letting them down. Their defense is letting them down. 16% in the power play, towards the bottom of the league. Almost 79% penalty kill, bottom of the league, they're 19th. Goals against average are 24th in the league. It's just, they're just collapsing. And I think I really expected more from this franchise moving forward. So, do I see possible, firestorm sale? I doubt that. But they're definitely going to be looking probably at trying to get some key defensemen, try to see to help them out. But, it's hard for me to really say, this is a time frame for Flyers to sell. But, it's not looking good for them. Then next is the Columbus Blue Jackets. A lot of things kind of looked like they were going to be a quality team, especially getting Patrick Laine in there, and he's actually starting to do a little bit here and there. But he's not the focal point of this team. Boone Jenner has the most goals. Oliver Borjek-Strand has the most points. Jacob Varshak, the most assists. They're not the focal point, and it's just overall, this team is not performing where I think some people might expected them to be more of like the middle of the road. Probably sit there at this 8-9 position in the conference. And in terms of special teams, horrible special teams. 60% in the power play, 70% of the power kill. That's the bottom part of the league standings. 30th in goals allowed with almost over 3.6. You can't win games if you're getting outscored. And this is, I think, a franchise I think a lot of people kind of expected more out of them, and it just hasn't quite materialized yet. And if Philadelphia can get their act together, and if the Islanders are in fact on a rebound, you can probably see Columbus falling further down the tier in the Metro Division. And next up is the number one wildcard team right now, and that's the Pittsburgh Penguins. With all that star power they have on there, with Letang, Gutsnell, Crosby. I mean, Jari, they have, the talent right there to kind of really do some damage, and they've been winning quite effectively. But their power play that's kind of let them down a little bit, even though they are winning. But if you want to look at anything as a down spot or dark spot on this roster, it's the power play. They're 21st in the league, only get a little over 18% of the power play. But beyond that, there's not much really to not like about this team, unless you're not a Penguins fan. And so I could definitely see them making a run at the top 3 slots. And I mean, these top 4 teams in the Metro Division is teams you don't want to face off against. I think ones might be a little bit out there, but with Pittsburgh, there's definitely the team you're going to definitely see in the postseason. And the next one on the list is right now the old man squad, as I could call them. It's the Washington Capitals. We've got Ovechkin right now chasing the great ones, scoring record. So he's leading everything, and they're feeding him. Still got players like Oshie and Gutzestov and Carlson and Wilson and Orlov. I mean, there's just a plethora of quality players on this team that can really light up the net if they have to, and the goaltending being a very decent aspect for them as well. Being a top 10, going against average, very a decent penalty kill once again. And if you want to put a dark spot on this team, it's power play. The 20th in the league, so they're not very well in taking advantage of their man advantage, but it's definitely a team you're going to see in the postseason. Next up is the New York Rangers. I think the one that I probably didn't put a lot of faith in, but with Adam Fox and Chris Kreider right now leading the charge for the Rangers, they're doing extremely well. They got one of the best defenses in the league. They penalty kills 3rd in the league, almost over 85%. They barely allow 2.5 goals a game. The power play is at 23%, so definitely sitting up there. And you go, Sherskin is being, the final netminder they need, and the Rangers are just doing what they have to do. They're checking all the boxes to move forward, and as long as this team continues to play, they're going to be a dangerous team later on in the season. And with Carolina, definitely one of these teams you're looking at. That Sebastian Aho is your focal point of this squad, and their defense is on point. 90% penalty kill, the best in the league. 2.25 goals allowed, the best in the league. Power play, 25%, 6th in the league. I mean, these guys are just getting you everywhere. Frederick Anderson in the net between the pipes is just phenomenal. 93% save percentage, and barely a 2-goal against average. So these guys are just a breath of fresh air for the people out there in Raleigh, and it looks, they look very dangerous. But once again, the Met division between those top four teams, pretty much neck and neck. Now we head out to the Western Conference and look at the Central Division, and the team that doesn't really belong in the Central, but kind of get shoved out there, the Arizona Coyotes. I'm not going to spend much time on these guys. They have a dumpster fire of a team. They have no clue what's going to happen to them after the end of the year. Glendale's not renewing their leases after June, so people are like, well, why haven't they make the playoffs? Okay, you can forget about that one. I mean, they don't want to play bonuses. They're players, human error. They won't play their taxes. Human error. the whole franchise is a human error, it seems like. They're trying to work out a deal to get a stadium built in Tempe, which is going to take about 3 years to get that built. So we're going to play then, between then. They're definitely not going to move into with the Suns. Doesn't work. Plus, the Suns don't want to share their arena with the Coyotes, and that's why the Coyotes built their own arena. Veterans Memorial, definitely not a conducive spot. It's a very old stadium. Doesn't really have the amenities that you expect from a quality NBA or NHL arena. They say, okay, well, maybe move down to Tucson, share the building with the Roadrunners down there. Below capacity. Talking about moving up to Prescott in their facility. Also a very smaller size arena. But the way this team's playing, I mean, could it work? Yeah. Does the NHL really want that? No. Does the NHL want its franchise out of Arizona? No. That's why the NHL took over the franchise when it went bankrupt and kept them there. They should have left a long time ago, unfortunately. And I think the experiment of the NHL in Arizona needs to end. They need to take that franchise and move them someplace else with an owner that wants them, owner that wants to spend time with them to get them what they need to make them a viable franchise. And I think that's where Houston's going to come in. I really think that this offseason you will see Houston become a NHL city. Unfortunately, I think Quebec deserves it more, but to keep the conferences even, they're going to put the team in Houston. Sorry, Quebec, but like I said, you deserve it better. I think Kansas City probably deserves it better than Houston, but Houston has the owner. Quebec and Kansas City has the arena. Houston has the owner. I'm just saying, but the bright spot for the Coyotes, if there is one, is their goaltender, and that is Kirill Vermelska. Sorry, these Eastern European names I always struggle with, but he's the one that been solid goaltending for him. So he's about the only bright spot with him. Chicago, as you can tell, Blackhawks fan, kind of sport, the fact that I've actually watched them raise the cup 3 times in my lifetime. But this is definitely one of these teams that needs a youth injection. They rely heavily on the old vets, which with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane, not a bad way to kind of, I'd say, hey, these are the 2 vets, learn from these guys. The Brickant was a great choice that they had that's really come on their own. But it's their defense is really killing the Blackhawks. And the penalty kill is 26th in the league. The goals against average is they're 22nd in the league. The power play itself is only 18th in the league with 18%. I mean, a lot of it kind of falls on Marc-Andre Fleury. I mean, the guy's phenomenal. I'm not going to question that one whatsoever. I mean, he was the reason why the Penguins won a couple of cups. He was the face of the franchise for the Golden Knights. And then, the Golden Knights just dealt him away. But, he's also getting up there in age, and that's the problem with Chicago. They like to keep hang their hats on the old guys and just kind of ride with them, ride or die. Unless you're Duncan Keith, and they let you go to Edmonton. But, as much as I love the Blackhawks, they definitely need some new faces in there. Get some youth movement going on with them and really kind of help them out. But they're kind of a middle of a road type of a pick. There's some people out there actually put Chicago in the playoffs. I don't see that happening. There's too much other quality teams in the Central for them to really leapfrog. But I don't think they'll be sitting near the bottom for much longer. I think they'll be more of a mid-tier kind of type of team. All right, well, next on the list is the Dallas Stars. This is definitely a team I think probably should be a little bit higher, possibly. They definitely have the talent to get up there. Right now, Pavelski is the focal point of this franchise with 38 points allowed, 13 goals, or 16 goals he scored. And their power play is actually very good. They're 7th in the league, so definitely one of these teams you don't want to be shorthanded against. And they're kind of the low end in terms of defense, 20th in the league in goals allowed. They're at over 3 penalty kills at 25 or 25th with a 77% kill rate. But I think it's just one of these teams that could, spark a few things here and there, and they kind of make themselves, pretty good. But, time will tell if they can get their act together to move forward. With Winnipeg Jets, after, trading out Line, they actually were kind of decent. So maybe getting rid of him kind of help open up the game a little bit. Connor's been really the focal point for this franchise. 39 points, 21 goals. But their penalty kill is one of the worst in the league, the 31st at under 72% kill rate. So definitely got to work on the defensive aspect, the mid-tier in terms of power play themselves, as well as goals against per game. So they got to clean up some things up in that aspect. But like most of the teams up north, they had to postpone a lot of games. So we'll see later on if that's going to really, playing those extra games help them out. Now, the number one wildcard team is actually the 5th best team in the Western Conference. And that's the Minnesota Wild. These guys are wild. Kaprizov is the main villain or the star, depending on your take on the Wild. He has 44 points with 16 goals. But if you want to look at some bad aspects with this team, they're 24th in the power play. So they're not going to really beat you being, having an extra man. The middle of the road and the penalty kill almost 80%. They allow a little over 3 goals, put them in the middle of the road at 19th. So they will beat you 5-5. They'll probably beat you 4-4. But it's just one of these very good teams that will definitely just remind you of the old Norse days. And definitely that. Speaking of reminding you of the old Norse days, Nashville. This team is just built on defense, and it shows. It's very hard to really score on these guys. They're tied for 11th for goals allowed at 2.78. Could be a little bit lower, yeah, but it's really hard. They kill it very well, 81%. But in 13th, they're one of the best power play units in the league. At number 4, there's like a 3-headed beast when it comes to this team. And, you have Philip Forsberg leading with 19 goals, Roman Josi with 40 points, Mikael Granlund right there is assist guy between these two guys. So it's definitely, hard to really pinpoint who to really focus on to shut down when you get so many different players to worry about. So this is definitely going to be a team you're going to see. St. Louis is another one doing extremely well right now. Bennington being feisty as ever between the pipes. You still got Terrence Siegel back there, but he's not really the star of this team right now. It's Kyrou is really taking flight of being the Blues leader, leading the band with 39 points, 25 assists. Barbashev is right there behind him with 15 goals. And overall, this is a top 10 squad in a lot of areas. So remember, they're 3rd in the power play, so you can't be shorthanded against them. If they happen to be shorthanded, they're one of the best in the league. They're 6th, 84% penalty kill. You can barely score on them. They're under 3 goals, 2.7, 9th in the league. So there's definitely a team you really can't mess around with, because they will smack you around. And then the perennial favorites by a lot of people is the Colorado Avalanche. When you got Mikko Rantanen and Nazem Kadri and And Nathan McKinnon, I mean, you got that three-headed beast right there with the Avs. They're ninth in the power play, so you can't be shorthanded against it because they'll do things. I mean, they got players that just stop on a dime and turn around and skate to the net and score. I mean, I've seen that. They did it against Chicago. It wasn't pretty. But I give him credit. That was an amazing move, and just what he did against Fleury was phenomenal. So, but for them, their dark spot on their resume is their penalty kill. They're one of the worst in the league, and they're kind of allowing a lot of goals, but they light up the lamp. So right now they have a plus 41 goal differential. So they may let a lot of people score, but they put more in the net themselves. So they kind of, eases a bit of the what happens. Now we're going to head off to the Pacific Division, and we'll just head off with Seattle, the franchise that, I love the name. I know it's one of these names that's kind of hit and miss. Some people love it, some people hate it. I'm just not a fan of their secondary logo, but that's just a different aspect. But they're definitely not going to tap into that Vegas magic when the Golden Knights showed up in the National Hockey League and made that amazing run. They've been sitting on top of the league ever since. They're not built for that. They're built more for the long haul, but they've had a long stretch of postponed games and just losing. They lose way too often to their winning. And they're pretty much in the bottom half of the league in a lot of areas. 19th in the power play, 22nd in the penalty kill, 29th in goals allowed. Their three main stars are Herbal, who's 24 points, Schwartz with 14 assists, McCann with 15 goals. I think it's just Grubauer has not worked out very well in net this year for some reason. So time will tell how they will proceed moving forward. One that's a team that I think is shocking being this low down in the standings in that division is Edmonton. Especially when you got Draisaitl and McDavid. I mean, that 1-2 point punch right there for them being sent down there. It's not, it's not Batman Robin. That's Batman Superman. But, it's the goals against is really, really hampering them. They're 25th and 17th in the penalty kill. So that's the defense that needs to work. They need some work. Once they tighten up that back end and get things going, you probably see them doing very well. But recently they've had a bunch of postponed games, and when they have played, they've lost. So they definitely have some health issues to worry about. Once they clean that, get healthy, and start going the right direction, I think this team is going to be very, very dangerous. And then Vancouver is definitely one of these teams that had a chance last year to make the playoffs before, but kept taking on Montreal, which was a bad thing. And Montreal had an incredible run to the finals before getting manhandled by Tampa Bay. But you get there's a lot of talent on this team. You get JT Miller with 39 points, Quinn Hughes with 29 assists, Bo Hovart with 13 goals. But they're kind of the bottom end of the last team's stats. They're the worst penalty kill unit out there. So if the Canucks are shorthanded, you're probably going to score. The power play is 16th. Goals against is 13th. But, you have young talent like Elias Pettersson should, do decent for a while. Demko, decent netminder for them. So I think, there could be some things going the right direction. They've had a lot of postponed games as well, which really stopped their trend. So we'll just kind of see how they go from there. Another team I think a lot of people had a lot of faith on and that could probably make a good run is Calgary. Especially we got Gardeau and Magic Payne being the 1-2 punch up there for the Flames. Markstrom being the netminder that he is. And overall, they're not bad overall team-wise. I mean, they're the third best goals against, the fifth best penalty kill. They're on the cusp of being a top 10 power play unit. So there's definitely some bright spots with the Flames, and I think it's just the right pucks being dropped here and there. But like I said, like most of the teams up north, they've had a lot of postponed games. So there's going to be a lot of grounds to make up. So we'll see what happens after that. Maybe the California surprise may end, and you'll see the Canadian invasion of the Flames, Canucks, and Oilers. Because the top half of the Pacific Division is basically is all your California teams in Vegas. So I see once the rest of the league starts playing the catch-up games and filling in the missing slots, especially Edmonton and Calgary. You'll probably see San Jose, Anaheim dropping out. So let's go ahead with the Sharks. Right now they're the number 2 wildcard team, and I think they're just taking advantage of the missing Canadian teams out there in the Pacific Division, because Timo Meier right now is the leading focal point of the Sharks attack. But overall, the team's not that great. Their specialty right now seems to be the penalty kill. They're 8th in the league, 83% penalty kill. So they play you tough, short-handed. But beyond that, not that great. 17th in goals against with an even 3. And 22nd in power play, not even hitting 18%. So, they definitely have some issues they have to worry about as well. And see how things kind of go later on in the season. If they can maintain this type of level where they're doing. Right above them is Anaheim. I think it's another team that might be a little bit of a shock and may not find themselves very long. But with Troy Terry and Ryan Getzlaf pretty much being the phenomenal 1-2 punch that they are, and Dolstall and Gibson being a good 1-2 punch in the net for them as well. Special team wise, they're one of the best in the league. They're 5th in the power play, 4th in the penalty kill. Middle of the road, basically in goals against, which not bad. So as long as they can keep up their special teams and put pressure on everyone to kind of beat them even strength. But like I said, I think once the Flames and the Oilers start playing those games, I think the Sharks and Ducks are going to find themselves falling out. And the team that a lot of people kind of picked as a surprise is the Kings. Right now they're 2nd in the division, and really led by Sopertor and Kemp, and with a Quick and Sparks back there in net. They really kind of solidified the Kings, because goals against average is one of the best in the league. They're 6th, but it's their special teams that's their Achilles heel. 27th in the power play, 27th in the penalty kill. So they have to work on that aspect. So that's a lot of practice on these special teams to kind of get things right there. So kind of see how things will kind of play out. And right now, the number 1 team in the Pacific, probably one of the best teams in the Western Conference, the Vegas Golden Knights, being led by Stephenson to 37 points. Liner is being the I thought he should have been the heir apparent up there in Chicago for goaltending, but they let him go to trade him off to Vegas. But overall, Vegas is not doing extremely well. They're 24th in penalty kill, the 12th in the power play. So they're definitely better in the power play. Goals against is 18th, middle of the road, on the low end. But the team's doing what it had to do to kind of keep going. I mean, they do have Eichel. So once he's able to actually play completely with this franchise, maybe things start turning around for Vegas. Only time will tell. There's January, and As the season moves along, I'll get these videos out quicker to everyone. Besides a monthly basis, you probably start seeing, a 3-week and then probably a 2-week span. These videos will come out as the season gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and the races get more and more intensified. Especially after the All-Star game, you really start seeing these things really, really take off. Man, just let me know down below who you got lifting the greatest trophy in all sports, the Stanley Cup. Beginning of the season, I had Boston winning it, which has kind of bucked the trend, because I think the number one choice I've ever won, I think I've seen out there, is Colorado. But I've had, picked the Avs like the past 2 or 3 years. I've picked them quite a few times to lift it and never did. So, does Tampa Bay go 3 in a row? And just let me know down below. While you're there, who's been your biggest disappointment? For me, I think the biggest disappointment right now is the Islanders. But, I think you get in that new arena and things start looking the right direction. Maybe they start turning the corner. I'd like to see Chicago make a nice run. I think that could happen as well. But, hey, only time will tell. And while you're there, you can also subscribe. You hit that bell notification. Let you know next time you post a video. And I will see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.